The Bike Rider spins the authentic yet fictional tale of the Vandals Motorcycle Club as the world of the 1960s evolves around them. We at IMDb love how deep and real you made these characters, so we'd like to get technical and zero in on each element that went into building Benny and Kathy from the ground up. We call this parts of a role. How do you start building a character? Austin, where did you begin with Benny?
The first thing that I did was start just riding motorcycles as much as I possibly could, because that's really sort of his heartbeat, his essence is that, the freedom that you feel on a motorcycle. And so getting together with Jeff Milburn, we would just ride and ride and ride, and you'd go home with the smell of gasoline and oil on your clothes, and it just starts to become a part of you, you know. In Danny's book, you never see Benny's face, and it's this enigmatic figure. And so for me, it was a lot of imagination. He's also one of the youngest members of the club, and so what sort of childhood would he have had, and you know, what was his home life like, what was his relationship with his father, and all of that then leads to the type of person that you see. So it's kind of working backwards and trying to figure out, okay, what makes him the way that he is, and trying to figure things out in that way. So there's a lot of daydreaming and trying to sort of come up with the details of his life. And then the physicality of him, you know, and how does he light a cigarette? How does he open his lighter? How does he, you know, all those little things that start to make it feel like it's tactile and like a real human being.
Well, I think the unique thing about this experience was that we had an amazing amount of source material, in a sense of, you know, we knew that this script was based on Danny Lyons' photography, so some of us had some images to kind of reference our characters from and take certain details from. And then very uniquely, I had like 30 minutes of audio. So when it kind of came to like breaking down the script and figuring out who she was, I feel like her voice was like the first kind of port of call for me, because it was quite unique.
That's when I saw him for the first time. It took my breath away.
I don't know, there was something quite eccentric about the way that she spoke, and also being aware that Kathy was kind of the narrator of the film. You know, a lot of it was told from her perspective, so that felt like the kind of biggest in for me, I would say.
It was the golden age of bike riders. And I never felt so out of place in all my life.
Well, the thing about Kathy was like she was from Chicago, but when we started breaking down the audio, like all of her vowel sounds completely contradicted each other. And for me, what made it interesting was hearing Kathy's voice. Like, it gave me so much. So I was like, I want to get as close to this, you know, because she'd have some really interesting like inflections or certain stresses on words, and just the speed in which she spoke. And it felt to me like she'd never been asked what she thought. It was like Danny came into her kitchen and he was like, Kathy, what do you think? And she was like, oh my God, I've been waiting for someone to, you know, ask me my opinion.
From the beginning?
Yes, please.
Honestly, it was more about just like kind of living with the audio and trying to get as close to it as I could, but then also like trying not to become too limited, because I definitely had moments on set where I think in my brain I was so hell-bent on getting the same as the audio that it was kind of taking me out of being in the moment and just experiencing what was happening. But I definitely had a couple of words. I mean, I can't think of them off the top of my head, but we'd usually kind of create little sayings or little kind of rhymes that if I was going into a scene would kind of include a lot of the vowel sound.
You take that jacket off.
You'd have to kill me to get this jacket off.
As you worked on Benny's movement, how did fight choreography work into that process? Did you have to learn to lose a fight?
You know what's interesting about that is I had just finished filming Dune, and I went straight to Cincinnati to start training on the bike I was going to be riding in the film. So I'd just done all this other fight training for many, many months, and then it was about kind of getting out of any sort of martial arts type fighting and into just street brawling, you know?
Yeah.
And we didn't have as much time to choreograph those, so that was kind of on the day, really figuring it out and going, all right, so I'm gonna get hit in the back with a stool in this moment, and then you're gonna grab me, throw me to the ground, and kick me, and it felt a lot more free-flowing and improvisational, you know, which is exciting, because then you don't have long to think about it beforehand.
Yeah.
But I always end up finding that I'm going, hit me harder, hit me, you know, really hit me with the stool, you know. because it just makes it feel real in some way.
I was just thinking, did you pick your tattoos as well? Did you?
Yeah, I mean, we worked through those tattoos and we found there were certain tattoos that we were able to see in the photographs, and so we had a tattoo artist who really analyzed those and figured out how to make the tattoos.
Looking at all this ink on your arms, where did you have time to get tattooed?
Yeah, because at the time that we were filming, I did some interviews and I had them.
Well, Austin had the most insane schedule. Like when he wasn't shooting, he was having to fly to like do press on weekends. So like you kept them on, didn't you? Because it was like time was of the essence, and he was so kind of spread thin, so you kept them on.
I was told to try
about this.
I heard a lot about it, but I haven't had the pleasure myself. I love that you have the can right there, though. What, Skyline chili as well?
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah.
It's
so I'm all
the
over.
one thing we got over here.
Yeah, incredible. Chili spaghetti.